Today for math, we're going to move on to decimals. Decimals are quite similar to fractions in that they're a portion or a part of a whole. Probably the most familiar place you've seen decimals is in money. And I like the relationship with decimals to money because it just fits so perfectly in that $1 is one whole. And it is written with the 1 and then the decimal point in 2 zeros. That means $1 and no cents. If I were to write $1.29, it means I have one whole and 29 cents. How many pennies make a dollar? 100. So this is 1 and 29 out of 100 cents. If I took away my dollar, I don't have any holes, and I have 29 cents or 29 100ths. 29 out of 100 cents. So 29 100ths is how I would say that. Here's my decimal point. And that almost looks like 10 cents, or that is 10 100ths, or one-tenth. This is tenths. This place is tenths. This place is 100ths because it takes 100 of these to make one whole. It takes 10 of these to make one whole. It's almost in the opposite of direction because this is less than a whole. Let's go back to 2. There's my decimal point, 3, 4. 2 and 34 100ths. It would be like $2.34. 2 wholes and 34 100ths. This is the tenths. This is the 100th spot. Because once I get 100 of these, I have one whole. Once I get 10 of these, I have one whole. I were to go, there's 10th, 20th, 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th, 70th, 80th, 90th. And then when I go to 100, I have one whole and no tenths or hundredths. Hundredths or tenths. This is the 10th spot, and that's 3/10. This is the 100th spot, and that's 4 100ths. Together, this is 34 100ths. Seven and 2/10. Or I could write it as fraction 7 wholes and 2/10. This is where I would put, if it was money, it would be like dimes. It would be 20 cents. If I add on to this, 7 and 23 100ths. Or I could write it 7 and 23 100ths. These are the tens These are the hundreds. So now there's 23 100ths. I have my decimal point and I have a 6. I have no holes, but I have 6 tenths. This is a decimal point, and there's my 6, and it's in the 10th spot. So that is 6 tenths. Here's my decimal point. I have no tens, but I have a 6 in the 100th spot. So this would be 6 100ths. The further to the right I go, the smaller the number. Because this is 6 tenths and this is 6 100ths. And this decimal is, I don't have any holes. That's a 1 in the 10th and a 6 in the 100ths. That is 16 100ths. Again, I have no holes. This spot is the 10th spot. So this is 2 tenths. I would say that. And this one, nothing in the tenths. This is in the hundredths. So that's 2 100ths. So this is the tenths. This is the hundredths. The further out it goes, the further away from the decimal, the smaller the number. Because these are my wholes and these are my parts. It goes back to money. $3.29. This is the wholes, 3 wholes and 29 cents. 29 cents aren't a dollar. How many pennies in a hole? Takes 100. So this is 3 and 29 100ths. 3 wholes and 29 parts out of 100. These are parts out of 100. This is parts out of 10. Tenths, hundredths. If I had, let's say these were my quick tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That's my whole. That's 1. And if I take away 10, I take away 20. So I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 100ths. I have 80 100ths out of 100 because 100 made a whole. So I had my 100. It started out of 100. And now I'm going to take away another 10. And I'm going to take away 5. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 65 100ths. That's 6 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens. And these are the 5 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5. 65 100ths. When we do decimals, anything to the right of the decimal is a part of a whole. So if it's in the first spot, it's 1/10. If it's in the second spot to the right, it means it's out of 100th. And then it just keeps going up in multiples or 10 times greater. tens, hundreds, thousands, and it keeps going. So it takes 10 here to make one whole. It takes 100 to make a whole. It's like having 2 cents out of a dollar. 2 100ths is how I would say that. If I put a 2 here, it's 2 and it's in the 10th spot. 2 tenths. And I could put a 0 here, and now this is 20 100ths. But 2 tenths is equal to 20 100ths. Because I multiplied the 2 times 10, I multiplied the 10 times 10. Remember, every time it's 10 greater, or in this case, 10 less. So I could even add another 0 and it wouldn't change the value. Now I'm just multiplying it by 100. So it's 200 1,000ths. So after my final digit, I can put as many zeros as I want and it doesn't change the value. That's 1/10. I'm going to add a 0. 10 100ths. It's the same value. Keep that in mind. Doesn't matter how many zeros I put after. It's the same value. But if I put the 0 before, now this number here is 1 100th. And this one up here is either 1/10 or 10 100ths. So this one is 10 times bigger than the bottom. This is 10 100ths. This is 1 100th. So it matters where the 0 goes. Again, this is 20 100ths. I put the 0 after the 2. And if I put it that way, I have no tenths, but I have 2 100ths. So the 20 100ths is greater than the 2 100ths. I'm looking at those 3 numbers. This is 161. I say it just like I would any whole number that we've worked with up to now, 161. But my decimal tells me it's a part of a whole. Here's the tenths, the hundreds, the thousands. So this number is really 161 1,000ths. This is 231 1,000th. And this is 79 1,000th. So when I'm ordering, looking for the biggest number out of these 3, I'm looking, which one has the most tens? Oh, this one has 2 tenths in it. So this is going to be my first biggest. Then this one has 1/10 in it. And then this is my smallest. So this first number past the decimal, I'm looking for the one that's closest to a whole. That's the largest number. So 231 1,000ths is more than 161 1,000th, or 79 1,000th. So these are all parts of a whole. The wholes are on the left of the decimal point. Think of it always as money. $2.49, or 2 and 49 100ths. Just think of decimals as money, as parts of a whole, as cents. We have the tenths or the dimes, the pennies or the ones. It takes 100 of these to make one of these. It takes 10 of these to make one whole.